Nice and windy out here. So just watching some stupid TV, some cape shit. Peacemaker, James Gunn thing from this guy from Suicide Squad. Um, I watched a couple episodes. I was watching the third one. It's cool. I have some friends and guys I worked with that have music in it. It's pretty cool. And it got me thinking, like, about back when I used to make music and I was in bands and all this stuff, and thinking about the things that were important to me in that kind of world. It was fun doing that stuff. I enjoyed doing it. But what a miserable fucking existence. Like, just always nihilism. Just thinking like, who cares? Let's get fucked up. You know, you only got one life to live. Or you only have one weekend left. And I used to go hard. I'd wake up sometimes and, you know, just be like, wow, you know, I'm alive. That's a shocker. I didn't see that one coming. Because you're in the state of mind where it was just like, well, we're only here for one ride. Nothing means anything. And that's, you know, that was the prevailing kind of attitude that everybody had. And the things that were important to me was just going out partying and working on the band and just trying to get my band over. Which was really just, I wasn't really like a huge, like, I never wanted to be like a singer in a band. It was never like my dream. I kind of fell into it like a lot of other things. But so to me, it was just a way to have fun. I wasn't super serious. Why is this happening? I really can't go anywhere, can I? So the thinking of that world, and thinking of some of the people I used to be friends with, hang out with. I don't really talk to anyone from back then. I mean, I wouldn't, because like I'd just sound crazy to them. Like, it's so hard to have a conversation with regular people. Like, you know, I'm just looking at that, thinking about that world, like the way I used to live, and my friends and the friend circles and things I had. It's like, that's a different world. And I don't mean like it's a different world because it was a long time ago. I mean, it's like we're living in two separate worlds. That world that I used to live in no longer exists. Well, no, it exists. I'm just not living in it, is what I should have said. So scratch that. Yeah, it exists, all right. I just don't live in it. A lot of people do. And we can see their world, but they can't see ours. It's pretty fucked up, you know? It's pretty fucked up. It's just a weird feeling. Like, I don't really, I avoid talking to anyone. These days, I feel like, even like earlier I was saying, I even kind of ditched all my friends from around here. I had a lot of friends here when I first moved here. I got involved in different friend circles, made a lot of buddies, and when I moved here, I was in that world pretty much. Moving into this one, you know, things were happening that I was noticing. I didn't know what to think of it though. Now, like, you know, 4 or 5 years being here, in this, not here in Hawaii, I've been in Hawaii like 8 years. But this world that, you know, some of us live in. And I think sometimes, like, I get encouraged when I see people I'll run into or I'll meet that are on the same wavelength, having the same experiences, noticing the same things, being able to see the same things that I see. And it's encouraging. So I'm like, oh, wow, you know, maybe there's more people than I thought. But I don't think there is. You know, if you follow anyone that talks about like metaphysical subjects or reality breakdown or anything on like BitChute or YouTube or anything, it's the same people. It's all the same crowd. But I mean, everyone that's being affected by this kind of stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean they're on YouTube or BitChute or looking at videos, but it would help them. It would help them. It helped me. Because if I didn't have other people to talk to about this or were describing the same experiences, I would just think I was crazy, you know, because there's precedent for it in my life. But then what happens with that is that the reasons I was thought to be crazy was because of this exact stuff. You know, it was the beginning stages of it's not understanding things like you gain some crazy insight. You do over time. Certain things become revealed to you and you begin to understand things better. But it's a gradual process. But there becomes a point when there's a clear delineation between this world and this world, which also occupies the same space. There's a part in the show where they start talking about the Berenstain Bears, and they're arguing over what it was. Two of the older members of this crew were like, no, it's Berenstain. And the younger girl was like, no, it's Berenstain. And it's funny because that was the first big one for Mandela-affected people. And the Mandela effect was, for a lot of people, an entryway into this world. It's a state of mind, but it's also a world because your worldview is different. The way you talk to people is different. The way you look at things is different. I mean, it all changes, you know, drastically. So when I was thinking before, you know, I was thinking about my old friends and these bands and just people I knew, not even the bands, but just anyone that I used to talk to 15, 20 years ago. And I wonder how many of them are still there, you know, in that world. You know, how do you talk? I have a harder and harder time talking to people. And I gotta walk outside and be like, hey, someone tell you, oh, it's a nice red sky today, huh? Nice red sky. And you have to just go over and just look up and say, yeah, looks great, nice red sky today. Because what the fuck are you gonna do? You got a spur? Start talking to them about shit? I've done that before and it never ends well. No, you talk to like-minded people, those experiencing the same thing. The time to kind of reach out and try to pull people over here is over. They're either going to come over or they're not. And that all has to do with what they can see and how much they see. And that's directly tied to the failing technology, air quotes, that creates the illusion of the reality we live in. It's failing, it's dying. So I think there's still a good amount of people that are probably like living in that world that can still get over to this one. I'm trying to find ways to not be dismissive of people like, oh, NPCs or normies. It's like, you know, maybe they just haven't started to see it yet. Because there are people who saw it before I saw it. I'm reading a book a friend suggested to me, which was written in 1974. And it's talking about all this stuff. So that guy knew this stuff in 1974. You know, I really started getting heavy into it, or coming to terms with the realization of what was happening around 2017. I had stuff happening prior year. Actually, really 2018 was the year. I think it really, you don't reach a point where it's like, hey, Eureka. You don't have this kind of thing. It happens over time. So when the changeover from being in that world to this world happens, it's already happened. It's something you remember. Or not even remember. You just realize one day that, oh, I'm in this world. You know, you're not cognizant of the exact second that you move. Metaphorically, you know, of course. Or, I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool they talked about Bernstein Bears, though. I've never seen anything like that. Well, admittedly, I don't watch any TV stuff. If I'm gonna watch anything, it's usually cape shit. And when I do watch it, or no, I watch other stuff other than cape shit, just stuff I used to like. But when and it's fine when I see older stuff. When I see stuff that's produced now, it creates a mental uncanny valley. You know how the uncanny valley is what they call when you look at something that's not quite real, like when they try to do CGI faces and stuff, they call it the uncanny valley. This is more of a emotional and mental uncanny valley. It's just like when I see a new television production or a new documentary, anything that is taking place in the old world, it's horrifying and fascinating at the same time. Because I'm like, yeah, I don't live there anymore. You know, it's weird. There's two different worlds, kind of. The people that have been affected by it and those who haven't been affected by it. They share the same space, but they're completely different. You know, like I'll watch TV shows and stuff, and I'll see something modern and people doing something or talking about something and say, don't you understand that doesn't matter? They don't. Because they you know, they're still over there. Life is so much better now. Like, I'm happy every day. I'm fucking psyched every day. Like I told my wife, it's like, I feel like every night, like going into the morning, is Christmas when you're 8. It's just like you want to see what's going to happen tomorrow. Everything is kind of amazing to me. Because it is. I mean, you're making this all happen. I just think of how miserable it used to be before and I'm not saying I understand things. I've just really begun to understand things. Although it is happening at an exponential rate. Exponential? Is that can't be a word. That's not good. It's happening quicker and more often. Whether it's ascending or moving or wherever, more of the mass consciousness is joining together and saying, oh yeah, this is bad. This isn't how it's supposed to be. And the more minds you can get, the more power you have over this area, this reality. Because as I suspected and I was talking about the other day, I think a majority consensus can definitely affect a concept in this world. And that I think has a lot to do with the Mandela effect too. Mandela effect is like such a weird thing. I go back and forth, like where one week I'll be like, I got it, this is it. But some people still, and then it won't amount to anything. And I still wrestle with the concept. But there are some people that will see it and be like, oh, wow, it's weird, you know? I know for a fact, you know, South America used to be down here because I used to draw it like that in school or whatever the effect is, right? Bernstein Bears or whatever. Yeah, but, you know, they'll get to a point, people, and be like, wow, that's weird. You think Pizza Hut's still open? You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. Once I discover something like that, how could you... No, it's time to put the coffee on, try to procure some amphetamine, buy 2 packs of cigarettes, and get video recording things out in a pen and paper, Google Documents, and you go. Because what's more important than that? And that's what I've been doing. And that's what I've done. And that's what a lot of us have done. You know, I don't know. It's just weird. They're just getting all of that weird feeling of like, I'm living in a completely different world. You know, in the just regular interactions I have with people, just conversations during the day, you know, bullshit conversations, someone you see in the neighborhood or someone you works at a place you frequent, and it's like the fucking conversation is just, it's hard to get through. It's nice red sky. You know, nice red sky today. You know, just like always. Don't blame the teacher. Blame school.